Hello good people, I'm Dmitry and welcome to the Mesh Battle. So the first case is the Phanteks P600S.
And there's the mesh.
And the second case is the Fractal Design Meshify S2, which is basically the Define S2 but with a front mesh panel. So let's see which one meshes better between these two right after this. Give your hardware the power it deserves with Be Quiet Straight Power 11 power supply with a wire-free internal design, fantastic cooling with Silent Wings 3 fan, a fully modular layout with black cables, and 80+ gold efficiency. Check them out below. Alright, so the reason why I'm comparing these two cases is because their price point is identical. $139 for a solid side panel and $149 with TG. The Meshify S2 comes in two color options, so white and black, and two TG options with a dark tint, while the P600S has three color options available. Now the Meshify S2 is based on the Define S2, make sure to check out that review to get the basic understanding, while the P600S interior wise is based on the Evolve X, so make sure to check that out as well here. And so physically you can see they are quite different. So I really like the gray P600S. I'm not a fan of the black one because it's just too bland, while I'm not a fan of the white Meshify S2 as well because there's color inconsistency behind the tempered glass side panel. It's more yellow and not white, and also the texture inconsistency between the metal top and plastic front. But I love both of their mesh integrations because they're totally different. So with the S2 we get that cool abstract pattern that is visible at certain light angles. You might remember this from the Meshify C. It is metal with a thick dust filter built in, so there is no additional resistance for the fans. The P600S, however, incorporates a high airflow fabric instead of a metal mesh and a fine dust filter underneath it, so we'll see which one delivers better airflow. Now my worry with the P600S is dust accumulation, inside that fabric material because it's black, so any, gray dust particles will be totally visible. Now that is not to say that the Meshify S2 does not have the same problem, however, you just kind of vacuum the front here instead of needing to take off the dust filter on the P600S. But I do appreciate the extra front cover that can be angled to open this area for airflow or closed for a more silent system. And when it's fully open, the fabric pattern looks awesome. It's kind of part of the whole design and it's not like an afterthought. Both cases have the same I/O with dual USB 3 and a Type-C Gen 2 port. Now the cable on the P600S is 3 inches shorter, so it might not be as comfortable to route if the Type-C connector on the motherboard is somewhere in the middle. Both cases have 3 140mm fans, both have 7 PCI slots at the back, with 3 vertical on the P600S and 2 on the Meshify S2. And I do like the swivel side panel on the Phanteks case that have strong magnets at the front and rubber edges around the perimeter for airflow sealing, while the S2 has thumb screws and additional pegs for a more secure mount, so you could be totally fine not using the thumb screws at all. The Phanteks case is slightly taller while the S2 is a bit longer, and I do like the interiors of both, and especially that gray on black color scheme on a P600S. Although I really dislike working with that sliding covers beside the motherboard, whereas the Meshify S2 interior is a true fractal staple with a clean PSU shroud and lots of room for water cooling. So radiator clearance on both cases is pretty much identical for the top and front, but the S2 can also house some at the bottom given your PSU is short enough. For storage, the P600S has 3 SSD caddies behind the mobile tray and 4 of these drive cages that can be stacked in the bottom chamber or moved inside, while the S2 has a couple of SSD caddies and 3 larger drive cages at the back. Both cases have SATA powered fan hubs with PWM option, and I do like the location of the hub on the P600S more as it's not part of that main cable routing area. And finally, some value add things. I do like the screw box with the Phanteks case. There's an anti-GPU sag bracket included, an adhesive case badge, and a magnetic cover for the top ventilation area to prevent recirculation of air. While with the S2, outside of your normal screws, we have a triple SATA extension, handy for drive connections in that side area. And you could also build a dual system config inside the P600S. It's not for everybody, and you can check out my experience right over here because I'm using the Evolve X, which has the same interior. And now for cooling, we're gonna do stock configuration to see which case cools better out of the box, and they both have 3 fans included, and also to replace those fans with my Noctuas, so just we have, you know, consistency in our entire cooling assembly, and just to measure the variable in that mesh front area. Alright, so for my test system, I'm using an 8700K at 4.8 GHz with that wonderful Noctua U12S cooler, and for the GPU, we've got the GTX 1080 for the win. Let's start at stock settings for both cases. You can see the MeshFi S2 takes the lead in CPU temperatures when the front cover on the P600S is closed, but to my surprise, with a really toasty GPU in both scenarios reaching over 90 degrees Celsius. Now, removing that front cover on the P600S significantly improves our cooling, and while the CPU is still hotter versus the MeshFi S2, the much cooler GPU is what really stands out. Now look what happens when I remove the front panel completely. The S2 still delivers better CPU temperatures, but the GPU is much cooler on the P600S, and this is with the stock fans running at 1000 RPM for both cases. Now me replacing those stock fans with Noctuas is a good idea for performance. They are running at 2000 RPM instead and really help with cooling on the S2, but that high airflow fabric on the P600S is not a gimmick, and those temperatures are very impressive. Now I'm not sure why exactly those CPU temperatures are so much better on the MeshFi S2, while the GPU is much cooler on the P600S, so if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments, and if you plan on replacing the stock fans in either of these cases with something better, the Phanteks case delivers better airflow. As for noise levels, with the front closed on the P600S, it is slightly quieter, but you compromise a lot on cooling, but it does suppress more of that noise with higher RPM fans with the front plate removed. And at stock settings, they're basically identical, but with faster fans, the P600S takes the lead.
Take your gaming experience to the next level with Corsair's new Harpoon RGB wireless gaming mouse. With its advanced slipstream wireless technology, experienced hyper-fast sub-1 millisecond connection speeds, along with dynamic RGB lighting for some extra flair. Check out the Harpoon wireless in the links below.
Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this comparison out of the 2 cases. Which one would you pick? Let me know in the comments below. And which one to you looks better? You know, styling is very subjective. I prefer the black version of the MeshFi S2, but I prefer the more compact MeshFi C, to be honest. While the totally, you know, that gray P600S is gorgeous, while the black one and the white ones kind of look off to me. But yeah, let me know in the comments. I'm Dimitri. I'll talk to you next video.